days I can't live without. But there's a fire, it's burning inside, calling me forward, I can't run and hide. It's not about perfection, it's about the climb, breaking through the limits, one step at a time. With every breath, I'm closer to the dream, a life that's bold, a heart that gleams. Be great, stand tall, rise above it all. Let your light shine through, answer the call. There's power in you, don't hesitate. This is your moment, go on, be great. The mirror's reflection, it shows who I am. But it's just the beginning, not the end of the plan. Through trials and heartache, I've learned how to fight, to shape my tomorrow. I start with tonight. It's not about the shadows, it's about the flame, fueling the courage to rewrite the game. Every step forward, I leave fear behind. Greatness is waiting, it's yours and it's mine. Be great, stand tall, rise above it all. Let your light shine through, answer the call. There's power in you, don't hesitate. This is your moment, go on, be great. Through the storms and the pain, I'm finding my way again. With purpose, with heart, I'll never fall apart. It's the journey, not just the end, a story that begins again. I'll build it, I'll create a life that resonates. Be great, stand tall, rise above it all. Let your light shine through, answer the call. There's power in you, don't hesitate. This is your moment, go on, be great. This is your story, it's time to ignite a life of intention, a future so bright. The world is waiting, don't let it wait. Step into your greatness, it's time, be great.
Well, hello. How is everybody doing today? It's good to see you. I am so glad you're here today. My name is Andrew, and this is the Be Great live stream slash podcast. And every Thursday, I bring you 1 hour of something to do to get yourself unstuck or to get yourself to the next level, whatever that is. Yay! Hey, it's so good to see you out there in live chat. Make sure you let me know you're here if you are. It's so good to see you all. Very, very good. And today I'm excited. I'm having an opportunity I'm going to head out today. I'm going to go down to Southern California and I'm going to get to spend a day tomorrow with Brennan Burchard, the author of High Performance Habits, among others, is the one of the best known high performance coaches in the whole world, and of course one of my personal coaches, Erwin Raphael McManus, as well. So I'm really looking forward to that tomorrow. But that got me thinking about how I could inject a little bit of value into your life this week, because that's always what I want to do. That's really what this hour is about, is how can I inject just a little bit of value into your week. So hopefully I've come up with something. I've got a ton of notes and I'm excited to kind of share what I have this week. So let me get started with a question for you. And this is a question, this may be a little too real. But this is a question that I sometimes find myself asking. Do you ever look around your life and ask yourself the question, how did I end up here? You ever ask yourself that? How did I get to where I am? You look around and it's the old song, whose life is this, right? It's the moment where you're not like failing, right? Your life it isn't a failure. It's not a mess. You're not lazy, right? And you're not broken, but you just feel stuck, right? There's this there's this moment I think that we wrestle with when we realize that our life has taken a kind of a detour and we've gone off that road, off that path that we expected to be on, and it's dropped us someplace. It's like we've gotten off the bus somewhere, and that somewhere just doesn't quite feel like you. Do you have that experience? Has that ever happened to you? May, Maybe sometimes it's like you're the one who's holding everything together for everybody else, but you are losing track of your own dreams because they keep getting pushed out. Or maybe it's that you made a responsible choice. I've made lots of responsible choices in my life. Maybe you made a responsible choice by staying where you are, but then there's something in you that keeps whispering there's got to be more. That happened to me a few years ago. I was at the bank working the bank job, a very stable, very profitable bank job that I had, and I was getting up every day. I was going to work. Things were going fine. Everything was okay. I was responsible, right? I was putting on the suit and tie and going to work every single day, making plenty of money, providing for the family. But something in me was unsettled. Something in me knew that there was something else that I was supposed to be doing. So I want to give you permission today because I think that a lot of us are waiting for permission. I think we do that a lot. I think we wait for permission. And I want you to start stopping. I want you to start not waiting for permission because in the idea acronym, right? Accountability is the A. And a part of becoming accountable is we always start this process by being accountable to other people. That's why people hire me as a coach a lot of times. That's why I get into the groups that I'm in. But there comes a point where we have to transition from being accountable to somebody else to being accountable to ourselves. Also, hey, Wolf, I'm so sorry I didn't see you. So, in that transition from being accountable to other people to accountable to ourselves, we have to stop looking for permission. But I want to give you permission today. If you're not there yet, I want to give you permission. And I want to give you permission specifically to set down the expectations that are not yours to carry. We've talked about this for a couple weeks now in a row, but I think that we carry expectations that are not ours to carry all the time. We have these kinds of walls that they close us in, and we feel like they define us. These walls and these roles and these boxes, we feel like they define us, but they're illusions. The trick is when we live in them for too long, we lose the ability to see through them, right? And so all I want to do today, very, very simple. I'm not going to give you a whole bunch of very complex homework or a lot of very, very difficult things to do. All I want to do today is just help you take the next step, or maybe the first step. That's it. That's all. Just like one true step forward. Because here's the truth that I see. I see it again and again, no matter who I'm coaching. The people that I work with, they're not stuck because they're not capable, right? They're not stuck because they don't have skills, because they don't have talents. They get stuck because they get overwhelmed, right? Don't we do that? Don't you do that? I do that. When I'm stuck, it's because I'm overwhelmed. Or it's because I'm exhausted because I've allowed myself to become overwhelmed. Or it's because I'm uncertain, because I'm afraid, right? A lot of it comes down to fear. So today, what I want to do is over the course of the next hour here, I want to help you cut through the noise. I want to help you to kind of reclaim your sense of direction. And what I want you to walk away with is something that is real and something that you can actually do, right? Not just something that you can think about, but something that is actually doable, right? Does that sound okay? Are you guys cool with that? Are we on the right track? Is this something that will help? Let me know. Hit me up in chat. Give me a heads up. While you're responding, let's talk a little bit about w- why I think you might feel off course, or why we feel off course sometimes. Because I've been writing the newsletter that comes out this Friday, hopefully, if all of my travel goes well. The newsletter that will come out this weekend, though, a lot of what I've been writing about is the stories that we tell. And I believe I've said before that I believe in a lot of ways the stories that we tell are more important than the things that we do sometimes. A lot of people will tell you that you can only be measured by your actions, and there's some truth to that, but I think that in many ways, it's more important to look at the stories that people tell. Because the things that we do can be reactive sometimes to our circumstances, but the stories we tell, they're purposeful. We choose words carefully when we tell stories about our lives. So the the story that we seem to believe when we get stuck is that we are the problem. You really believe that you're the problem. And we think things like I'm too lazy, or I'm too emotional, or I don't follow through. That's a big one for me, right? Or I just always mess things up, or I should be further than I am right now. Like all of these things, right, keep coming up. And I don't want to discourage you from pushing yourself, because you only get places by pushing yourself. You don't get places by sitting in the same spot over and over and over again. But I want you to hear me right now that those stories that you are telling yourself, they're not the truth. Hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. And see, that's it. Is you're not the problem, right? You're not the problem because you're here watching a live stream about how to get better, right? So it's not you. It's not a will issue, right? What is controlling your life is probably not even what you think it is, right? You're not stuck because you're weak. You're not finding yourself in this weird place because you're lazy, and you're not broken in any way than more than anybody else is broken. But what you are is you're human, right? And at some point, you probably started carrying more than you were meant to. A part of that is being a responsible person. I'm pretty sure I'm not the solution. You, head of steel, you actually are the solution. That's the thing. You may just not have come to the solution yet. But the question is, what is the what is that we're holding on that we're not meant to, right? A lot of times it's expectations, expectations from other people, and sometimes it's regret, right? I know that that's another one that I've carried regret from old decisions that I've made. Maybe it is the here. This is another one that's like big with me is the pressure to be everything to everyone, to make everybody happy, right? And the weight from those things is heavy, and we wonder why our energy feels low and why like we wake up and our vision is blurry and we look at our lives and we go, I don't know what direction to take. We wonder that, but the problem isn't you, right? It's not the core part of you. It's the pressure that's on you. And when you are carrying too much, when you cross that threshold from being a person who's got pressure on them, because we naturally do, to being a person who accepts pressure that is not yours to carry, then what happens is the next step feels impossible. It's like carrying that burden, and every single step feels impossible. So, what I want to do is I want to reframe things for you a little bit, right? And i- if you've been waiting to feel ready before you move forward, this one might be a little painful to you because you're not going to feel ready. Okay, we just need to move past that. You're not going to feel ready, and you don't need to feel ready, right? The real question is, and I wrote in the newsletter this last week, right? The real question isn't like, can I function without this? But the question is, who am I becoming because of this? See, you don't need like a big breakthrough. Like we look for these moments in our lives where the heavens part and we get the revelation and all of these things, everything falls perfectly into place and we understand exactly what clarity is. And but the real question is, we don't need clarity for the next 5 years. You don't need a 20-year plan. You don't need a 10-year plan. You don't need a 5-year plan. You don't need to be 100% sure that you're on the right path, even. You don't need to be 100% sure that you're going to succeed. You just need one step that you know is true. You just need one step that you know is honest, one step that is lined up with your mission and the person that you're supposed to become. Here's what I mean by that, right? The right step is not the biggest step that you could possibly take. Now, you've got to take big steps. It's really important. You don't get any place without taking big steps. But the right step is not always the biggest one. It's the one that honors who you are. And more importantly, it's the one who honors who you want to become. It honors your value. It respects where you are in life, and it moves you forward without sacrificing who you are to get there. And that's the difference between striving and alignment, right? Striving is like, hey, I'm going to reach out, I'm going to grasp, and I'm going to really hope to pull myself up by my own bootstraps or whatever it is, right? And we get a lot of that. We get a ton of that in hustle culture. And I do want to reiterate, I want you to push yourself. I want you to challenge yourself. I want you to work harder, to try harder, to do better, right? But I want you to understand that there is a line where you need to find peace, right? And that the steps that are really going to change you are going to feel quiet at first. They're not gonna have the fireworks and the heavens opening and the perfect clarity a lot of times. What a lot of times they're gonna come with stillness, and they're gonna come with courage, and that's gonna bring clarity. I was talking to a new friend this morning. I jumped on a call with another coach, and he was talking about how he had just had this retreat and he'd gone up into the mountains, this monastery, and he'd spent like 40 hours in silence. And what he talked about was kind of a perfect clarity that came out of that silence. So, if anything, you should be seeking stillness. Hey, Ben, welcome in. It's so good to see you. You should be seeking stillness because that stillness is where your clarity is going to come, not in hype. Okay. It's not going to be in hustling, it's not going to be in working harder, right? Yeah, work hard, but don't think that harder work is the solution to becoming your best self. Let me tell you something about this whole idea we have built up around urgency, right? Most of the pressure that you feel right now is not coming from you. It's coming from things that are around you, right? Your social media, right? You get your voices that are telling you to grind harder, comparison traps, your own perfectionism, even sometimes the forces of life that are playing on you, because we all have those things. But here's the problem: the forces on life that are playing on you, those are okay. Right? Your obligation to perform for your family, to be there for your family, your obligation to feed into your relationships, those pressures are okay. They're natural. But when we add that to looking at people around us, especially in the social media world, right? When we look around ourselves and we add all of those things, then what we're getting is we're getting a constant stream that says, you're not doing enough. You're not moving fast enough. You're falling behind. It's not about crushing it, guys. That's not it. If that's what you're looking for, then it's going to be a very hollow victory, right? It's not about dominating your goals. It's about getting yourself in line so that the growth that you experience is sustainable and it's you, right? Little steps, real life. The kind of growth that isn't going to maybe look great on social media, right? Not right away anyway. But I think of that picture that I took of myself, right? I took a picture of myself a couple years ago, back before I started trying to work on my health. I think of that picture I took of myself, and then the picture that I took of myself, last Friday. I take a picture every Friday now. And if you were to look at, tomorrow's picture and last Friday's picture, you're going to go, I mean, small changes, no big steps, like nothing big there. But if you look at that picture from years ago, from 2 years ago, and that picture from today, you're going to see that there's a transformation that happened, right? But it didn't feel like it along the way. Tal, today at work, store returns, skipping steps of putting location on products to get more stuff received and sorted only made it 3 times longer to put away. So by skipping steps, it actually made things more difficult for you? Or you in order to optimize, you kind of optimized one thing and one thing didn't get optimized? I mean, that's the way it works too, right? Sometimes I was so livid. Sometimes, and this is a lesson that not everybody around us knows. You got to know when to optimize a process in other words, when to drop everything and make it perfect. And you got to know when to just kind of maximize it or make it as good as it can be without losing the total picture, right? That's kind of what I'm talking about here, right? The I don't want you to be so busy optimizing every aspect of your life that you lose the sense of who you are, because here's what it is, right? You're not on the same timeline as anybody else, right? You're not. I talked about a couple of weeks running somebody else's race. You're not running somebody else's race, right? You have the right to pursue what is aligned with your mission. And by the way, you don't just have the right to pursue it, you have the responsibility to pursue what is in line with your mission, even if that doesn't make sense to anybody else. And it's not going to make sense to anybody else a lot of the time. There are going to be times when you're truly pursuing your mission and you look around and people go, you are crazy. It happens to every great person who experiences their moment of greatness. And so when you have that moment where people around you are going, you're crazy or you're wrong or you're irresponsible, that's the time when you know you're doing something right. Take heart in that. Because growth doesn't demand that we give up on everything. Talked about that last week, but it does demand that we question things, right? I was ready to leave and just go home before lunch. I was so mad. I'm so sorry, Tal. I know, right? It's difficult when people around choose actions that aren't aligned with the actual goal of what we're trying to do because those things look like they're the best idea at the time. See, there's a big difference in life between doing what seems to be the best idea or what just is in front of us and doing working on what's most important right now. And by the way, if you don't know what's most important right now, if that's still something you're struggling with, I did have a webinar a couple weeks ago that was kind of a first step towards working on that. I also have a group coaching plan that's coming up. It's a very short. It's a 1 month. It's in kind of an introduction to group coaching, and I'm not going to hyper plug it right now. I'll talk a little bit more. I actually have a special offer for you guys because you're faithful. You come to this live stream every week, so I have a special offer for you guys. I'm going to offer it. I'm going to offer it to a limited number of people. I'm limiting it to 10 people. But I'm going to give you guys the first crack at it and the lowest price on it as well, or one of the lowest prices. Um, but that's one of the things that we're going to talk about, right? Is how to tell the difference between what's most important right now and just what is right in front of me, right? One of the other mistakes that we make, when is the next webinar? It will probably be next month, Head of Steel would be my guess. Or I'm sorry, this month. It's May. We just turned over to May. So it'll probably be towards the end of this month, probably around just a couple weeks before the kickoff of the momentum sprint, which is this group coaching plan that I'm putting together. Um, but in this conversation is this, right? Is that especially in the world of work, but even in the world of relationships, sometimes we tend to couch everything in terms of productivity, but it's not always about productivity, right? It is instead, it is about honoring the deepest part of who you are. It's about finding that place where what I will call your unique design, because I believe you are designed, where that unique design meets the needs of the world around you. And this path is very personal. It is very private. I mean, not private in the sense of you have to hide it from anybody, but it's very core to who you are. Because see, that next step for you is not going to look the same that as it did for me. Like you wouldn't be able, you would learn some things from my journey, and you will learn some things from the journeys of people around you. But you're not going to just be able to pick up my story and insert you into it and get the same results, right? Your step's going to be a little bit different, and that's totally okay, right? But what you have to stop asking is, what should I do? Right? Because that's what everybody comes to me and says, what should I do? What do I need to do? I have so many, especially executive coaching clients. They're like, just tell me what to do. Andrew, just tell me what to do. And I'm like, no, it's not about, when it comes to the next step, it's not about what should I do. It's about what's true to me. And y'all know that I am not the guy who likes to talk about your truth, right? I don't believe that everybody gets to have their own truth and they get to be defined however they want to be defined. I think that there are some things that you get to choose. And I think that there are some things that, that you have to understand. And I think that sometimes we choose so much about our truth that we don't take the time to understand the nature of our truth, right? So that's what we're going to be working on. Ooh, momentum. Can't wait to get rolling. I see what you did. Wait, you like this idea? Which idea do you like, kitty cat? Pineapple. The best relationship is with yourself. Many out there will find themselves obese or ugly, but coming to terms with that you are the best you can be. There's no problem with you, and I feel you should just love yourself and your values for your own benefit. So, Pineapple, I love the spirit of what you're saying there. I love the idea that we need to come to a place where we're at peace with ourselves, but I want to challenge your language just a little bit, right? Because what I want you here's what your sentence was. Let me take your sentence a little bit, right? And maybe you didn't mean it the way that you said it, but communication is important, right? Here's what you said: coming to terms with that you are the best that you can be, right? And here's what I don't want you to believe. I don't want you to believe that you are the best that you can be. I want you to believe that where you are is your current step to the being the best person that you can be, right? Because I want you to believe that there's a better version of yourself out there. And I want you to work on that. And I don't want you to devalue the person you are or tear yourself down in any way, but I don't want you to rest where you are. I don't want you to stay there. I want you to keep moving. I'm not always the most precise. That's okay. We work on it. You can always be better, right? Today, who I am is the closest step to who I want to become that I will ever be, right? The goal is to not move backwards. Don't move backwards. Every day get better, right? Now let's slow down a little bit. Let me take my foot off the gas a little bit. And what I want to do is I want to guide you through a reflection. Okay, so this is the moment. If you're doing something else and you can, this would be a good moment to pause, right? If you're kind of in a multitasking space, if you can, if you can focus in, this is a good time. If not, totally fine, right? Work with us here, and then maybe come back and re-listen to this, re-watch through this part, right? Because I want to take you through a little guided reflection here, and the guided reflection is. Um, Most importantly, it is for you. Okay. It is not for anybody who's watching, right? I don't know who would be watching you. I'm not watching you. I'm here. My eyes are on you, but I'm not watching you. But it's not for me, right? It's not for anybody watching. It's not for performance, right? This is not performative. It's not a productivity thing. It's just for you, right? Today I was really overwhelmed with the desire to let you know that it's okay to do things for yourself, and not in a selfish way that says, "Oh, I'm just going to blow off all my responsibilities and focus on me and my self-care." I hate the term self-care. It has become something ridiculous in our society. But I like the idea of what self-care actually should be, right? Which is, it's okay to take time to focus on your own growth. So this next section is just for you. Nobody else, just for you. So I'm going to ask you 4 questions. And what I'm going to do is, these 4 questions are going to be in a framework, because I like to give you frameworks. So I wrote this down in a framework. I came up with an acronym for it. I'm not very good at acronyms, so I don't love it, but hopefully it'll help you at least remember it a little bit. So this little reflection is going to go to a framework, and what I call the true, like not false, but true. So it's the true step method, right? And TRUE, just like idea, IDEA, right? I'm going to give you an acronym for this. So T is truth. Okay. And I know this is why I hate the acronym, because the acronym is true and T is for truth, but just bear with me. T, truth, right? So the question is, what is true for you? Well, I'll give you the question more later, but in short, right? T is the truth. What's true for you right now? R is about release, right? What expectation can we set down? U is for uncover, which is what small action feels kind of alive inside of me. And then E is for engage. How are we going to commit to that thing? Right? So let's go through it together. So again, if you can, just take a moment, kind of set your life down, take a deep breath or 2 or 3, and let's walk through these together, right? So let's start with question number 1, right? We're going to start with truth, okay? So I want you to stop and I want you to think. Where in your life do you feel the most pressure right now? This is what in coaching we would call your pain point. So where in your life do you feel the most pressure right now? And I want you to just name it, right? You don't have to fix it. We're not coming up with a solution for it right now. Just name it. Where in your life are you feeling the most pressure? I'm going to give you a minute to think about that. And if you want to put it in chat, you certainly can. You don't have to. You're welcome to put it in chat. You can write it down. You could do it however you want, Kat. Whatever is easiest for you. But just name that thing. Where are you feeling the most pressure right now? So once you have that, right? Once you have that truth, once you've kind of narrowed down where you're feeling the most pressure in your life, the second question is R, right? R, keeping up with the home, organization, marriage, and kids. Perfect, right? So, Kat, what I would recommend you do is take a step back from that, right? I feel like they all add into each other. So that's part of the problem, right? Is that they do all add into each other. But one of the things that is key to clarity is to really spend a lot of time. I'm so sorry, guys. Got a frog in my throat all of a sudden. One of the things that's key to clarity, to seeking clarity, is to start to pull those things apart from each other. When they start to feel connected, where is the most pressure coming from, right? And so I'll let you kind of pull that apart for yourself. But that's it for me. Where is the most pressure coming from? And all of those other things that are orbiting around that, how are they connected? But what's the center of that universe, right? And once we've got that, we go on to release, right? The R, question number 2. And here it is. So, what expectation or pressure, right? So, what expectation or pressure can you intentionally set down, even if it's just for like the week, right? What's one thing you can give yourself permission to stop carrying? This might be something like, concern about how somebody is feeling about you, right? It might be worrying about something getting done that maybe not is not mission critical, right? It's something that, you know, maybe it needs to get done, but it's not the most important thing right now. Maybe it's a regret over something you did in the past, right? I'm seeing financial. That's definitely a big one too, right? Financial is a big point of pressure. So what's one thing we can just let go of? Difficult to pull apart because I'm one person yet expected to handle it all by myself, if that makes sense. Yeah, I think that totally makes sense, Kat. And I think what you're saying, what I'm hearing you say there, is that the actual place where where you're feeling the most pressure right now in your life is in the area of expectations, right? It sounds to me like, because you're saying I'm expected to handle it all by myself. And so the question that you begin to ask yourself is, how much of that expectation is internal, right? How much of that expectation am I carrying? And how much is external? How much is being placed upon me, right? And when you start to drill that down, right? Then you can find the release point, right? Because that place where you're like, well, this is what I expect of myself. That you can let part of that go, right? So if you're in business, for example, maybe it's like, hey, you're not going to read your emails every day, and that's going to be okay, right? People have your phone number. If they need to get a hold of you, they'll get a hold of you. And if something goes south and people didn't reach out to get a hold of you, it wasn't your fault, right? So find that thing that you can put down, that you can set down. Maybe it's just something like, somebody wants to here's an example, right? So I met with this guy this morning. He's a coach. He's another member of the arena. He's a super good dude. Love him to death. Got to spend an hour with him, getting to know him a little bit. And at the end of that call, he said, "Hey, we're both going to be in LA for this conference tomorrow. Let's meet for coffee and talk more." And I am taking my wife and my son to the conference with me because I want to bring them into this world as well. And the part of me that wants to please other people said, okay, well, okay, think, Andrew, find a way to like have coffee with this guy, even though you're going to have your wife and your son there and you really want to go to coffee with them because you want to spend that time preparing for, for this workshop that you're going to do all day tomorrow. And in my head, I managed to throw the right switch. And I told him, I'm like, listen, man, this has been a great conversation. I love you. I think you're great. And I'm so excited to continue this conversation, but I'm going to say no to coffee tomorrow. And the reason I'm going to say no to coffee tomorrow is because tomorrow morning I want my focus to be on my family because I want them to walk into that place prepared. And I want us all to walk in as a team working together towards this. And guess what? He totally understood. He said, that's fine. But even if he was a little bit disappointed, even if he had been kind of pissed off by that, you know what? I let go of that in that moment because the most important thing to me in that moment was how I was handling my family there. It was not how that guy felt about me. And again, I love him. Like I definitely want this person to be a person in my life, but I had to make a choice. I had to let go of an expectation. And so that was the expectation I let go of. I do have my own expectations, of course, but the expectations expected of me from everyone else is astronomical, which makes me feel like I'm drowning and I can't reach it. I mean, that makes perfect sense, right, Kat? So here's what I want you to do, right? What I want you to do, one of the things that I want you to do, and I'd love to, I will at some point spend additional time unpacking this with you. But what I want you to do is I want you to start determining which of those expectations are reasonable and which of them are unreasonable, right? Because what we need to do is we need to find ways for you to build healthy, safe, good, clear, aligned boundaries around expectations that are not reasonable so that you can let go of them and so that you can start to communicate to other people. I believe that this is a thing that you expect of me. Here's why that's not aligned with the best way that things are going to happen, right? I know that's hard. That's a really hard conversation. This is one of the hardest things that I coach people through. Let's see. I see giving myself permission to take some voluntary time off when I need a break. That's one of the worst things about us as an American society, especially if you're around my age, if you grew up around my age, or even a little bit younger. I know. I think the youngest of us are getting better at this, but man, I came from a time, and I was just talking to another associate of mine the other day. We came from a time where you went to work at whatever time you were supposed to show up and you left at whatever time you were supposed to leave. And if you were sick, you just toughed it out and you didn't take vacation because somebody was going to need you for something. Hey, Riz in Phoenix, how's it going? And we just didn't take time off. And you know what? That's super unhealthy. That's not okay. Don't be that person, right? And by the way, if you're a leader, if you're an executive leader out there, and I know you listen to this, whoever you are, I know I have executive leaders who listen to this who don't comment in the chat, but I know they listen to it. So if you're listening to this thereafter, here's something that I have taught every leader I've ever trained, and I've trained a lot of them over the course of the last 20 years. And here's one of the most valuable lessons I think I can give to you as a leader. Or if you're a leader of your family, this is a valuable lesson as well. And it is this: you will get from people what you are an example of. And so a lot of executive level leaders, a lot of high level managers believe somewhere in themselves that, you know what? I want my people to be, they have good intentions. I want my people to be taken care of. I want them to be good. Like, I want them to be safe. I want them to be healthy. I want them to be well. So I'm going to work 90 hours a week. And I'm going to be just like there for everything that everybody needs all the time. And guess what, guys? When you are doing that, there are two things that you're doing. And this is true for you as a person, too. If you are there all the time for everything people need, then they're going to expect you to be there all the time, even when you can't. And the second part of it is they're going to start to expect that of themselves. And if you're a leader who's in burnout or who's in overwhelm or who's, on the edge, let me tell you, you're teaching your people to be on the edge. You teaching and if you're a parent, and I've been this parent. I mean, I am this parent sometimes. You can ask my kids. But if you're a parent who's living life in overwhelm, you're teaching your kids that that's normal. And that's hard. That's a hard way to grow up. And I don't want that for you. I don't want that for your kids. I don't want that for your people, right? Slowly raise his hand for being overwhelmed. Right, right, right. Totally. I know I need to let go of stuff for my health. Yes, correct. I can understand the other person acknowledging that communication, though, and knowing you can't go 100 miles an hour is the problem. Well, Kat, that person is going to be a problem, but they're also not your responsibility, right? So, especially if that human being is an adult, that human being is going to need to understand that you can only do what you can do, right? And again, we'll talk this out later. I hate that the kids see me overwhelmed. Juju steps in trying to help, and you know what, Kat? That's going to be so hard, right? That's going to be so hard for that kid because you look at these kids, and I look at my daughter Serenity, and Serenity is she just loves loving things, right? Her whole life, all she wants is to love people, and my son, who is the same way. He just his whole life he's wanted to help people, and a lot of times he just hasn't known how. And I think about that, and I think of how many years they were looking at me and going, "Hey, here's a person who needs help and I don't know how to help them." And then I think about myself and how when I know somebody needs help and I don't know how to help them, how that's like the hardest thing in the world for me. Like the reason that I cannot stand when my kids are in pain or when they're sick or all of those things, like that is the one thing that still gets to me at my very core. And the reason for that is not because I don't think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to be okay. But the reason for it is because I can't do anything to help, right? And so when our kids are growing up in that environment, man, that's going to put them in a place where they're either going to be seeking their whole life to help people that can't be helped, or they're going to have to learn that you just can't help everybody, right? Last night he came up to me and said, "Mom, how can I help you?" I wanted to cry. But I love that, right? So here's the thing, right? And I'm sorry, I'm way off track here, but we're into an area that's important, right? And here's what it is. When somebody asks you how they can help, have an answer. That's it. Have an answer. I work with this with my wife all the time, right? Because my wife is internalizes a lot of processes, and she's a very like, I'm gonna come up with a solution, I'm gonna implement it. And she has that enablement frustration, which means she doesn't love that process of coming alongside people or even having people come alongside her. And so to her, the phrase "how can I help?" it's hard, right? It wears at her because she's like, "I don't know how you can help. Just get out of my way," right? But let me just tell you this, for your sake and for the sake of the other person, just have an answer. And it doesn't have to be something that will fix the problem because nothing's going to fix the problem. But just have an answer because having an answer will give that person something to do. And you know what? You giving that person something to do, that's a service. And one of the ways out of overwhelm is to meaningfully serve people. And that's a meaningful way to serve people. So, my dad traveled for work most of my childhood. My siblings and myself did their part in help. I think that helped us as adults. I agree. I mean, definitely a big part of growing up is understanding that you know we all gotta play our part, right? And sometimes in some families, like back in the depression, right? My grandma, for example, like she had to work her whole life, right? And as a result, she grew up really responsible. And when her husband, died relatively young, my age, she was able to get through the rest of her life and even be, financially well off to the point where she didn't have to worry about things, and she was able to take care of her kids and all those things, and a lot of it was because of that. So don't think that when we're giving our kids a part of the hard stuff that we're damaging them anyway. What we're actually doing is we're teaching them the skills they need to survive. Hard lesson to learn, but necessary sometimes. That was Ben that said that. I'm sorry. Phoenix and Ben, you're the same color on my screen. An answer is better than no help at all. I agree. I think helping out is great, but he's the oldest, and I don't want him to think he always has to because there's another very capable adult that can help. Yeah, it's true, Cat. But again, at the same time, it sounds like Juju might have an enablement genius, right? So here's the thing that you have to understand, right? When we go all the way back to the working genius language, and if you're new to the working genius language, there are 6 types of working genius, and these have to do with the way that we approach work in terms of what gives us energy and joy. And I, for example, I have an enablement genius, and my son does, and I believe that my daughter does too. And that enablement genius makes it that the thing that gives us the most joy in life is helping people out. That's why I'm a coach. Honestly, it's not because I'm getting rich, because I'm not. It's not because I couldn't go do something and be more secure, but it's because I want to help you. That is what I want, is to help you. And he probably has that, right? And what we have to remember is that sometimes the things that are burdens for us are gifts to other people. So just give them something to do, right? Um, Sometimes when an adult asks how they can help, like, I'm like, look around, there's so much to be done. Why do I have to supply a list? Because that's another thing I have to do. Okay, so Kat, you know what? That's a great point too, right? And I think I've talked before. Patch and I, when we were earlier in our relationship, by the way, married 28 years in June, and we dated for on and off. That's You'll read a little bit of the story of that in my book, Be Great, that comes out in December. And this was one of the biggest pain points for us earlier in our relationship because Patience she has the genius of invention, which means she's really good at solving problems. And she has the genius of tenacity, which means she's really good at getting things done. And I don't have either of those. Those are not my geniuses. I have the genius of an enablement, which means I love to help, and the genius of discernment, which means I'm really good at evaluating and seeing patterns and understanding how to improve things, right? But what I don't have, and what I didn't have that early in our relationship was I didn't have the ability to see what she saw. And so from her perspective, it was always, and we've talked this out, like trust me, we got a whole system for this now, and like we are, you know, if it wasn't for any number of other things, if I was going to say we were an authority on something, it would be how to be a good old married couple, because that is something that we've definitely nailed. We came to it through a lot of turmoil, though. And this was one of the points of turmoil because, from her perspective, she would look at me and she would go, how can you not see what needs to be done? Because her eye and her mind would see it, right? And I would hear that and I would go, and that it felt like a deficiency in me. And this is one of those places, right, where I would become overwhelmed. And, but for me, here's what it was, right? Because I didn't see it, because I wasn't as capable of seeing it the way that she did. All I could do was try to do what I do naturally, what I'm wired for, and say, how can I help? What's the best way to help? And so the intent was not to put additional steps on her. The intent was to say, I want to be here. I want to do this, but I don't know how, right? And when we realized that, and when we realized that I had that discernment genius in play that helps evaluate and helps kind of screw things down and tie things down, what we found was that we were able to have a conversation, what we call this ID loop, invention discernment loop, where she would throw out a bunch of different solutions, and I would go, okay, this is the one. Like, this is the one. This is how I can help you best, right? And yeah, it was a little bit more energy on her part. And maybe, Kat, part of the problem is maybe you don't have the genius of invention. So maybe you're not a natural problem solver, but you're the one who's being asked to. I would say, you definitely at some point I would recommend you take the 6 types of working genius assessment so we can talk through that. Because maybe you're being asked to do something that's actually a frustration for you. And that might be part of the rub there, right? But with us, it was just figuring out how that interplayed. And guess what? Once we figured out how it interplayed, then I was able to step in and I was able to meaningfully help that process. I was able to do, and over time, I was able to learn to see a little bit better the way that she sees, right? Because that should be an end goal. Eventually, you should be trying to see things from the other person's perspective, but you don't. We don't always start that way, right? So, hold on. A lot of catch up with chat. He tries to relieve me of some of my stress. I'm sometimes direction is such a big help to have. Delegation is a great tool to have. I agree with that. Not sure if that does or doesn't fall into that. I'd rather play games. But when he sees me in stress mood, he offers help. Right. It could just be, yes, true. Can we shove that ability into someone else's brain? Right. I know. I hear that. I do hear that. Sometimes our geniuses can feel like a curse, right? Especially because the higher elevation geniuses, that's wonder, invention, and discernment, sometimes those can be kind of discounted. Well, like, that's not really that important. Like, you're just good at brainstorming. You're just good at coming up with ideas. My poor friend Rob, who is a CEO for a nonprofit company, he gets thrown in that a lot of his life he got thrown in that box because the poor dude is just an idea factory. But a lot of times people will look at him and go, "Dude, you're just coming up with new ideas. Like that's not helping anybody, right?" So we tend to dismiss those higher elevation ones, and then the lower elevation ones, like tenacity, like that's the getting things done part, or enablement, which is the volunteering to help out part. Like those, sometimes we have a tendency to exploit them. And so that's the problem, is because those people who are really good at getting things done, guess who gets all the work, right? So so anyway, in our household, there's a task that I'm responsible for, and there's things that Jen is responsible for. We switch it up each month. We have so much going on in conflicting schedules. So hard just to wing it, getting house and life stuff done. I agree, right? A big thing for us is we are very, very specific about how we manage our time in our household, right? And you guys all know I'm a calendar person, right? To begin with, like I'm very specific about how I arrange my life. And I would love to help you with that, by the way. That's something I can actually help you with. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Let's see. That makes sense. I never saw it that way. Good. Okay, good. We have a little bit of perspective. I think the assessment would be a good idea. I agree. I've taken this test. It's very eye-opening. It helps you understand yourself. Where can I find the assessment? Kat, hit me up afterwards. It's there's a website for it. Um, but I can, since I'm a certified facilitator, I can get you a copy of that for a little lower price. So cool. All right. Well, let me get through my framework here, though. It is the same assessment you took, Phoenix. Yes, absolutely. The 6 types of working genius. That's the same one. That's my favorite tool to use of all. Favorite one. All right, we're 7 minutes out of the end. Let's get through this. So, truth, right? Where do you feel the most pressure right now? Release. What can you set down? What can you let go of? Right? Intentionally, what can you let go of? U is for uncover. Okay. So, uncover. What's one thing that you know is true about you? And this is where I want to spend some more time with you guys on the identity component of the idea framework, because the identity component is so important, because I think that sometimes we get so busy we forget to remember who we are. I think sometimes we get so busy that we forget to dream about who we want to be, right? We just know we have to do a thing, right? But we don't realize that it's not about doing a thing, it's about becoming a thing. That's what's important. So uncover what's one thing about you that you know is true, a strength or a value or a piece of your story that you know that matters, right? And then the fourth part, the E, is engage, right? So what is one small action that you can take this week that would honor that true thing? Just one, not like 10, not a list of things, just one, right? So for example, right? If it was me right now, let me think. I didn't really think through this in terms of myself, right? But where is a pressure point that I'm feeling right now? One of the pressure points that I'm feeling right now actually is in trying to balance all of the different jobs that I do, right? I'm artistic. I love that. I love that so much. So I'm trying to balance a lot of different things, right? So if you were to look at all the relationships in my life, I'm obviously I'm a family person. I'm a person of faith, and so I'm trying to integrate myself into the church that we're serving at in a meaningful way. I am a consultant, right? I work with businesses that need help. I'm a coach. I work with individuals that need help. And I'm also, still working for a company. I'm working regularly with a company at the same time. So I'm all of those things. And so for me, trying to balance all of those things perfectly is probably where I feel the pressure most this week. And so if I'm thinking about release, right? What's one expectation that I can let go of? I think it's this. For this next week, I'm going to let go of the pressure of having to respond instantaneously to people. Cuz do you ever do that? You get a text and you're like, I got to answer that text right back. I'm going to let go of that for this next week. I'm going to be out of town at another conference next week, and I'm going to let go of that instantaneous responsibility. And, unless there's an emergency, if there's an actual emergency of some kind, there's a fire or, a vital system shuts down, I'll respond to that. Paint my nails. Been wanting to try out some new gel nail polish. Love it. Take that step. Do that. Do that one thing for yourself. And then uncover what's a thing that I know is true about me. A thing that I know is true about me right now is that a thing that I'm trying to remind myself that's true about me right now is that I have a framework that helps people. Like all this stuff, all this idea, all of these things, all this stuff that's in my head, it helps people. And when it gets into them, it changes them, it transforms their lives. And that's why it's the most important thing to me because I've seen it work. I've seen people's lives changed because of it. And so that's a thing that I know that's true. So what's one small action that I'm going to take this week that's going to honor that thing? I am going to for the next week when I'm at the conference and, when I come home from the conference, I'm going to make sure I've got this book, right? I told you it's coming out in December. I made a commitment that I'm going to have the final manuscript finished by the end of July. So I'm going to make sure that I am spending no less than 1 hour every single day. And that's if I have to get up earlier in the morning, if I have to stay up later at night, I'll spend 1 hour every single day just working on that rewrite. Just 1 hour because I can find an hour. I can do it, right? That's just one step that I'm going to take towards that thing that's true about me. So your true step could look like something else, right? Excuse me. It might look like a boundary, right? It could just be a boundary. It's just a clear no to one request. To one request, right? Somebody wants you to do some certain thing every week, and you're like, that's just not a thing that's going to get done, right? It might be like towels, right? Where she's going to try out a new nail polish, right? Because that's going to make her feel a different way about herself. That dang frog again. I know it's the worst. It's stupid. I live in a house full of frogs. It could look like spending 15 minutes on a project that you've been postponing, right? Maybe 15 minutes. It might look at like just writing down that truth about yourself, right? And putting it someplace where you can see it all the time. I'm a big fan of this, right? Put stuff where you can see it all the time. It might be having the conversation that you're avoiding, whatever that conversation is. It might be the time this week to have that conversation, right? A- And what I want you to do is whatever that step is, wherever you're at, I want you to write it down. Not like don't type it, don't put it. I usually say take out your phone, put it in a memo. No, I don't want you to do that. I want you to make this invisible thing visible. I want you to bring it into reality. I want you to write it down with your hands, right? And then I want you to put it someplace where you will see it every day. And even if you do this, right, and it feels messy or it feels imperfect, I want you to remember that that's not failure, right? That's just information. That's just a chance to learn. That is another step towards you becoming someone who moves forward, even though you're not certain, right? Because I don't want you to be a copy of somebody else. I want you to become fully yourself. And every single step that you take that lines up with the true things about you, that's a win, right? And I want you to experience that win. So here's what I want to leave with you today, right? I want to leave this with you today. You are not broken, right? You are not behind. You are not a failure and you're not failing, but you are becoming, right? You are learning. You are recalibrating your life. And you don't need to be loud, right? We know there's all kinds of people in your life that are going to be loud and upfront about how great they are, and they can show you all their cars and their bling and all that stuff. You don't need to be loud. You don't need to be perfect, right? It's okay. You don't need to impress anyone. That's not how we get ahead. Is not by impressing other people. You just need to be true, right? And when you are true, when you take an actual aligned step, then you start to build that momentum that we were talking about. And that momentum is where peace comes from. That momentum is where clarity comes from. It's not in the noise, but it's in a quiet moment of being honest with yourself, right? Now, before we go, I did mention that I had an offer for you guys. I don't like to be a big salesy guy. It's not me, but um, I've got something that's going on, and I just wanted to let you guys know about it, right? So if you're in this place, if you're kind of spinning your wheels and you feel the need to stop doing that and actually start moving forward, then I would like to invite you to join me in something that I'm calling the momentum sprint, right? Because it's all about momentum, and it's a sprint because it's 30 days. It is 30 days. It's not a challenge like we did the 30-day challenge earlier this year. By the way, that's still accessible. You can redo that challenge. You can start that challenge. It's free, right? This is different. This is a group coaching experience, right? So it's a group coaching experience. It is designed to help you to kind of break through the fog, right? And to get the energy that you need to move forward, and to give you a little bit of support, a little taste of what support looks like. Because a lot of people, coaching is kind of daunting. It's like I sit down with you once a week, and then I pay you all this money for you to tell me what. Like, are you my therapist? No, it's not that, right? So for people who are a little bit scared of coaching, or where coaching may, like becoming a private client, maybe a little bit expensive for you. This is a little different. So the full price of this thing that I'm doing is $149. So it's $149. But here's the thing, right? Because you guys are here, you're focused on on yourselves, and you're also a small group that I get to talk to every week. So for you guys, if you sign up by May 15th, because there's got to be a deadline for this stuff, I'm going to offer you a price of $99. So 99 bucks if you sign up by May 15th, right? And the way that you would sign up is you're going to go to a website that is it's right here, actually. Hang on. It's this last one that just came up. Let me put this in the chats. So you're going to go to this website right here. And you're just going to click on save my spot. There's no money that's due. What that's going to do is it's going to put you just in an email category. You're maybe already getting emails from me. It's not going to be an additional thing, but um, it's going to get you on a list of people who are interested, right? And I'm going to send you the rest of the details, right? But here is like the second step of the offer. Okay, I hate this. It sounds like, but wait, there's more. It's not that. But here's the second step. So if you are subscribing to my Substack newsletter, which by the way is up here, right? andrewburkham.substack.com. If you are a subscriber to the newsletter, I'm giving you an additional $20 off. And so Substack subscribers only are getting this down to $79. Now that Substack, if you haven't had a chance to interface with it, basically every week I write a newsletter, and it's something like this. It's usually adjacent to this stream. It gives you more ways. Can you fix the link on the YouTube side? Is it broken on the YouTube side? Hang on. Let me see. Because it worked for me when I tested it. Hang on. Hold your peace. Oh, that's interesting. Suddenly it does not take me to the place? Hmm. Okay, so maybe that link is broken. Uh, I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of migrating my website, guys. And it's a possibility that in that migration, that link got broken. It's not all there. Okay. All right. So the link is also above chat command. Okay, let me see if it works on the Twitch side here real fast. Oh, you know what? It's missing an H. That's why. It should be HTTPS. That's why. Hold on. When I copied it. There we go. Here you go, Tal. That should work. My apologies. Click that one. See if that works. So anyway, yeah. So what we're going to focus on in this 30-day thing is it's going to be clarity around your identity, simple, daily habits, right? Accountability, right? So that's the thing. In a group coaching context, you'll be with a group of other people. Again, I'm cutting this off at 10. So I'm not just going to leave this open. This is not one of those things where I'm trying to make $1 million out of it. I'm charging something for it because I want it to be important to the people who are there, right? I want there to be a commitment, and people are committed to what they pay for. So I don't want to charge a whole bunch for it, but I do want it to be important. I think it's working. Okay, good. But this will be a group of no more than 10 people, and we're going to jump on a call once a week. We're going to talk through. You're going to have some very light homework to do. It's literally like one worksheet in between. So this is a super easy on-ramp into coaching, guys. So if you get in by May 15th, again, $79 if you're subscribed to the Substack. If you don't want to subscribe to the Substack, totally fine. $99 for anybody who is a live stream viewer. Totally fine. And I want to offer you that opportunity just to work with me a little bit. It's not a one-on-one thing. So again, super low key, because you'll never have to just sit across a camera from me and tell me all your secrets. It's a very safe space. So yeah. So here's the challenge this week, guys. Like, don't try to fix everything. How long will the session be? You're signed up? Nice. Sessions will be there'll be 1 hour. So it'll be 1 hour call, 4 calls. So 4 calls, 4 1-hour calls. That's what you're committing to. And if you cannot be at the call, they will be recorded, and they will be available only to the people in the session. So nothing will go outside those sessions. So, totally understand if you can't make one of them, it's not an issue, right? God bless you, Orpheus. You're very inspirational for many of us in coaching, mentoring us with life lessons and skills. May God bless you. Well, thank you. I appreciate that very much. Very, very much. So, all right. So that's it, guys. One step this week. I just want you to take one step that's in line. Whatever it is, just make sure that it honors who you are and where you want to go, right? And tomorrow, do it again. Right? That's the rhythm, right? That's the rhythm that brings change. And if you want, share your one step after this. If you're watching this on YouTube afterwards, toss it in the comments. Love to talk to you more about that. If you have additional questions about anything, hit me up. Is it 1 hour a week? Yes, it is. It is a 1 hour a week. Absolutely. So every week there will be a call. It will be 1 hour. For 4 weeks, the month of June. So very, very good. And then, by the way, guys, set a calendar invite. Check in with yourself about a week from today. So next week on Thursday, I'll be back by then. But check in with yourself and see if you noticed a change by taking that step, right? And remember that I believe in your ability to do it, even if you don't. I do. Okay. So that's the stream for today, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. I really just appreciate that you guys are that you're willing to pause and to reflect and to show up for yourself, right? And I am so honored to be in your corner. So thank you for allowing me that moment. And if this helped you, this is my only other call to action. If you don't want to do the coaching thing, I understand. If this helped you, share it with someone who needs it, okay? The easiest way is probably the YouTube link. If you go to youtube.com/@AndrewBurkham, go to that YouTube link, find this under live streams. I usually try and repost it as a video too. Share it with somebody who needs it, guys. Because, listen, this is free. All of this is free. I will always do this for free. The vast majority of everything that I ever offer will be for free, right? I'm going to do these little paid things every once in a while because it is how I make a living, right? But I'm still going to give you this stuff for free every single week, okay? So listen, bottom line, keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going. You are doing better than you think. And the next step is more important than you know, okay? And remember that I believe in you, that I know you're going to do it, and that I know you have greatness within you. So go be great. I'll see you next time.